I can pretty much guarantee that everyone watching this video has already watched some sort of video about the OG Anunoby trade. It happened like 4 or 5 days ago by this point, and there are a lot of people on YouTube who do YouTube as a job, so they got that video out a lot quicker than I did. I was away from my recording setup for the holidays, so I could not give my first reaction to this trade as a Knicks fan, but now seemed like a good time to give some thoughts. I'm recording this video on January 2nd, as both the Knicks and Raptors have won their first game with their new players active. As I have mentioned already in this video and previous ones, I am a Knicks fan, so I am going to talk about this from the Knicks perspective first. The Knicks acquired OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn from the Raptors in exchange for RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, and a 2024 second-round draft selection. When I first heard about this trade, I was a little bit upset. I knew how much OG Anunoby could help our team. The ideal 3-and-D player on a Tom Thibodeau coached team, a team that loves to drive and kick to the corners. Yeah, that sounded pretty good. But we did give up our two most valuable trade pieces. Think about it, RJ Barrett has been the centerpiece in a lot of proposed trades for stars, like Donovan Mitchell. I've had conflicting feelings about RJ Barrett for most of his Knicks tenure. I mean, he was drafted 3rd overall at just 19 years old. He had crazy expectations given to him by Knicks fans, by a fault not really of his own. The Knicks were a horrible 17-65 in the 2018-19 season, and so the Knicks were hoping for one of the two generational prospects in the 2019 draft, Zion Williamson and Ja Morant. But the Knicks fell to 3rd, and they had to select RJ Barrett. He has gotten better in years past, and you've seen the flashes of greatness. He had that 2020 to 2021 season where he shot over 40% from 3, and he averaged 20 points per game in the 2022 and 2023 seasons. But Knicks fans were definitely not over the moon with his production. That 3-point shot has been super inconsistent for him, and that's been a huge problem for the Knicks, because Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson drive hard to the rim and kick out to the corner a lot of the time to RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has done a decent job creating some offense in lineups where he plays with the bench, but he does not create it efficiently enough to be a primary or secondary option when playing with the Knicks starters, especially since he's always struggled shooting at the rim as well. He makes tough shots at the rim, but he takes a lot of bad shots and misses some shots at the rim. This is kind of a backwards way of saying this, but I was okay with the Knicks giving up RJ Barrett in this trade. It would have been nice to see him used in the trade to acquire a true 3rd star, but since that trade wasn't there, this is a good trade too. But it's really the loss of Immanuel Quickley as the reason that my initial reaction to this trade was soured. First of all, from a completely non-basketball perspective, I was sad IQ was leaving. Immanuel Quickley is the player that convinced my girlfriend to be a Knicks fan, so it really hurt losing him for that reason. But also, Immanuel Quickley was a huge spark plug off the Knicks bench. He was a 6th Man of the Year candidate last year, and was in those conversations again this year. It's not like he was a 50-40-90 level shooter, but he was a 6th man. He made tough shots when the offense was struggling. He would get the crowd back into a game with a long 3, an ankle breaker, or a tough and one floater. The Knicks have been suspect on offense throughout this recent stretch of success with Tom Thibodeau, so he was invaluable for this team. But he is a restricted free agent at the end of this season, and the Knicks had yet to agree on an extension for the young guard. And that had to be one of the main reasons Leon Rose did this trade. Because as good as OG Anunoby is, and how much the Raptors have been asking in exchange for OG, he also is an expiring contract now, and he has not been traded for several years despite constantly being in trade rumors. It just feels like the addition of Immanuel Quickley was a little bit too much. But after the first game of OG Anunoby's Knicks career, I do see the vision. In OG Anunoby's first game as a Knick, they got a huge win against the Minnesota Timberwolves, the best team in the Western Conference. OG Anunoby played 35 minutes, and he scored 17 points, shot 3 for 6 from 3, had 6 rebounds and a steal, but that stat line underestimates his impact. He defended Anthony Edwards for most of the second quarter, a quarter in which Anthony Edwards just scored a single point. And he only had a single steal, but he caused many turnovers, including one deep in the fourth quarter that pretty much sealed the game for the Knicks, as it started a fast break, in which Julius Randle finished off with a layup. Overall, OG Anunoby played a great game. OG Anunoby will help this Knicks team win more than RJ Barrett did. RJ Barrett's best skill set is his ability to create on the ball, but he does not do that as well as Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle, so he was relegated to the corner a lot of the time, and he just does not do that as well as OG Anunoby, a guy who has shot 43% on corner threes so far this season, and it's not like that's a fluke. He has shot 37.6% from 3 for his career. Plus, it's not like OG can only shoot. He made some nice moves to the basket, made some nice backdoor cuts, all of that which will be really valuable to this Knicks offense. Precious Achiuwa also got his first minutes of playing time in this game, but did only play 9. He is an undersized center, but center was a position of need for this Knicks team since the Mitchell Robinson injury. Achiuwa mostly didn't play because Isaiah Hartenstein was just fantastic against the Wolves, but I saw what he could add to the Knicks. He's a guy who will fight on the glass despite being undersized, and hustle really hard on offense and defense. So he is more than a throw-in piece of the trade, but OG Anunoby is obviously the main draw. So if I'm the Knicks, I'm feeling pretty good about the end results. I still think including Quickley might have been too much value, but especially if Donte DiVincenzo keeps playing the way he has over the last 2 weeks, they should have enough guard production to survive Quickley's loss, with Jalen Brunson, Donte DiVincenzo, Quentin Grimes, and Miles McBride, who the Knicks recently gave a 3-year extension to. The Knicks obviously have an extension with OG Anunoby in the works, and I would not be surprised if the Knicks have another trade planned, especially with them still holding on to that expiring Evan Fournier contract. So now let's talk about the Raptors, who picked up a win against the Cleveland Cavaliers in their first matchup with RJ and Quickley active. I was only able to watch the second half of the game live, but went back and watched the first half this morning. They decided to start both RJ and Quickley in this game, and obviously RJ is projected to be the long-term starting shooting guard for his home country team, but I'm not sure if Quickley will remain the starter. It's not that Quickley isn't good enough to be a starter. In a vacuum, Quickley is definitely a better player than Dennis Schroeder, but he has the perfect skill set for a sixth man. Plus, the Raptors have plenty of ball handling and shot creating ability in their starting lineup already, with RJ Barrett, Pascal Siakam, and Scotty Barnes, but IQ does provide that spacing that Dennis Schroeder doesn't. Anyways, RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley both had solid games in their debuts. 19 points and 9 rebounds for RJ, and 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists for Immanuel Quickley. RJ Barrett showed his ability to operate in the pick and roll, and his ability to make some tough shots at the rim, especially when he hit 2 tough baskets in a row early in the second quarter. And Immanuel Quickley did his normal things as well, hitting some threes, shaking and baking a bit from the perimeter, and he also had a really nice pocket pass to Jakob Poeltl at one point as well. For the Raptors, they mostly won this game because of Pascal Siakam. He had 36 points against a Cavaliers team that was missing Evan Mobley, so he was cooking against like Dean Wade for most of the game. The Cavaliers have also been without Darius Garland, so not to devalue this win, but it's not like they beat a top contender in the Eastern Conference at full strength, like the Knicks beat a top contender in the Western Conference. But for the Raptors, I think this was a fantastic trade. OG Anunoby is an amazing third option, glue guy, supporting piece for any playoff team. Trust me, there is not a single contending team in the NBA that would not want a guy like OG Anunoby. But OG Anunoby is most valuable on a contending team. The Toronto Raptors in their previous form were not contenders. Plus, with OG Anunoby being an expiring contract, he just had to be traded. And considering he was on an expiring contract, they got an amazing haul for him. The Raptors did not get any first round picks for him, which a guy of his caliber usually commands at least 1 and maybe 2 of in a trade. But they got 2 young guys who have produced at an NBA level and definitely have more room for improvement. Selecting in the NBA draft is always a bit of a gamble, so the Raptors acquired 2 players who are more proven in the NBA. The Raptors were committed to mediocrity anyways this year, so I don't think that this trade really makes them more of a contender or a tanker this year, but you are starting to see some real building blocks for the future now. Scotty Barnes has elevated his game by about 50 notches so far this season, and really looks like a star in the making. And you now have RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley, who are just 23 and 24 years old respectively. You also have Grady Dick, who's barely played this season, but still should be a nice supporting piece as a knockdown shooter, and you have an all-star caliber player in Pascal Siakam if you decide to keep him and he is willing to stay. Overall, this move definitely raised the ceiling for the Toronto Raptors, and that's exactly what you should be doing when you are a mediocre team. We'll have to see over the coming month or so exactly how this works out for both teams, but at the moment, and despite the Knicks giving up a little bit too much in my opinion, this has the workings of a win-win trade. But let me know what you guys think. How did you guys react to this trade when it was announced, and do you think it can be a win-win trade? This is the Sports Ball Network, and I will see you guys in the next basketball video. Peace.